One of the common reasons that people seek counseling is to deal with an addiction, and we can become addicted to anything. That can be video games, that can be drinking, that can be substance abuse, that can be pornography. There's a number of different things that are common for people to struggle with addiction to. Addiction is at its heart a disordered worship because what it is it's putting the created things above the creator. And so as people come in, there's a number of different pieces to it. And some of the helpful framework to think through is the idea of saint, sinner, and sufferer. And as people come in, I think what can often be distorted is their identity, right? Their identity is a saint. Their identity has become what they're addicted to. They see that as that's who they are, that's what they're enslaved to. Um, because oftentimes they've been in that addiction for a number of years and it feels like there is no hope, there is no way out of it. And that's just at this point who they are and who they're stuck being. And so part of the help to that is reminding those that are struggling, where is your identity, right? And if our identity is in Christ, then we have hope, we have the forgiveness of sins. One of the things that we want to remember is where our identity truly lies, where we're trusting in for our hope. Because oftentimes, one of the things that can keep us enslaved to that addiction is the lack of hope that we find in other things. We now go to that addiction to fill that hope or that lack of hope, and we don't have anything to put in its place. And so, when we start to think about what do we put in its place, that is where the hope and help of Christ comes into it. And then for those that are really struggling with the sin aspect of it, it can be a difficult because we feel the shame and the guilt that comes with sin. And so what we want to do is point people to Christ, the hope that they have in Christ, the freedom that's in Christ, because that's ultimately what we need to be reminded of as believers as we walk along this process, whether that be with small things or that be with lifelong struggles. And as counselors, we want to help step into that and remind you of the truth that we have, because it can be intimidating to think of Christ's call to walk in the light, because that means that our hearts are exposed. That can be intimidating. And so we want to care well for the hearts of those that are struggling with sin. And then there's the aspect of suffering. Through addiction, I think often it can just be thought of, oh, it's sinful, but there's genuine suffering that often comes as a consequence of those sins. So we want to seek to steward that well. And I think that to do that well in counseling means that we're taking it all into account. How do we care for those people, not excuse the things that are happening, but point to Christ and wrestle through the aspects of there is our identity wrapped up into it. There is the struggle with sin that as believers we all struggle with, but our hope is in Christ and the suffering that is along with it as well. There is going to be suffering in this world, whether that be from our own choices or just what God has brought into our life. And so I think it's important for us to think about how do we navigate those things well, and that framework can help us to have an idea and put our hope in the right place.